I've spent a lot of time working outdoors in Scotland, in all weathers, all seasons, mainly at sea. And there's a lot about Scotland that fascinates me. There's so many legends and stories, and there's so much folklore. There's so much human history wrapped into this country. But I'm at the scene right now of, I would say, possibly the most horrific folk story in Scotland. So Scotland is 100% a haunted wilderness. The thing that really gets me every time is it legend? Did it really happen? What lies behind all of these fascinating stories? My name is Grieve. I'm a writer and outdoorsman. I was a scallop diver for 12 years. Before that, I spent a year living in the wilderness of the interior of Alaska. And the lessons I learned there, I've never forgotten. And I'm always going to stay outdoors. It's kind of strange to be here the first time on such a beautiful sunny day, because the story I've got to tell you is, I would say, the darkest legend that exists in Scotland. And it's all about a man called Sawney Bean. So he was the son of a ditch digger in the 1550s, and Sawney had a reputation for being a bit of a layabout, and he didn't want to be a ditch digger. And in his travels, he came across an equally dodgy kid called Agnes. And she had picked herself up a reputation that was so bad, she was known as Black Agnes. There is sort of some speculation about whether she was dabbling in witchcraft. And remember too that at this time in Scotland, witch burning and witch hunting was all the craze. Agnes and Sawney landed up in a cave. And legend tells us that the cave is just over there. And they had kids, and then their kids had kids. Some estimates are that they had 25 members of the Sawney clan. Other estimates were that it got up to 45. Scotland at that time was not an easy place to live. Famine was prevalent. Getting food was difficult. And food is kind of central to this horrific story. Just up that really steep ground above me, they ran a road. It's still there. And the Bean family used to predate the travellers on that road. And you know, it was not uncommon for people to set out on a journey all those hundreds of years ago in a dark, forested, wild country and to not come back. And it's estimated that Sawney Bean and Black Agnes and their 25 kids ate up to 1,000 people. You know, it's kind of strange to be here on such a bright day to be telling you such a spooky story, and it is without doubt the darkest legend that I can think of that's linked to the land in Scotland. And in this case, it's that cave. And when the tide goes out, I'm going in. I was a scallop diver for 12 years, right? And one thing I really perfected was the art of running away. I mean, I am a devout coward outdoors. I mean, I just do not hang about in places that make me feel very, very nervous. So on that note, come inside. I'd like to show you a Cannibal's cave. That was a pigeon. And it was a very spooky pigeon. So I think I'm going to get the lantern on now. I think we need to shed some light. So there's one really big chamber when I came in, and now there's this sort of natural passageway, and it looks like it's going through to another chamber. I'm just kind of imagining that you really could have had a lot of people living in here. But that big central chamber, that would have been the family's hall, their kind of main eating area. God knows what they would have stored along here, you know. It's certainly cool enough for you to hold meat in a place like this for quite a long time. Anyway, I'm just going to keep following this. And then it kind of comes into this little domed area. It's huge. This cave goes on and on. Wow. There's all sorts of scribbles on the wall here. There's one here, D. MacDonald and J. McRobert, 5th of July 1939. 1914. Oh my God. J.F. Valentine. So I'm in the deepest, darkest part of Sawney Bean's cave on the Ayrshire coast. And the legend around Sawney Bean and this cave is without doubt the darkest legend there is in Scotland. So legend has it there's way more to this cave than just these chambers that we've seen. And I can certainly see that there could well be some more exploring to be done here. But I would really hate to land up stuck between a rock and a hard place in Sawney Bean's cave. I think I'll get back to the beach now. Oh, it is nice being out of there. I mean, jokes aside, that's actually a very, very spooky place. It's just nice to be in this fresh air and the sunshine. I just wonder if that legend is true. You know, imagine if it was. Some things I prefer to stay as a legend. I really, really would. I would hate to discover that that's actually a true story. sun is just about to go down. It's quite a cold onshore breeze going on. So I'm going to get myself in my tent as quick as I can and get out of that wind. I keep looking back at that cave, you know, and just imagining what it must have been like. If this legend is true, if there was some reality behind it, this would have been one of the world's spookiest beaches.